1. And here we are. It's the zombie apocalypse. Brought to you by Beehive Productions. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's another night of zombie mayhem here on Apocalypse Hump Day, the Zombie Saga, night 23. What we do here, if you're just joining in for the first time, is every Wednesday I will read a short story that I have written regarding the apocalypse in one form or another. Alien apocalypse, alien invasion, pandemic, blah, blah, blah. We are currently on the zombie apocalypse, and we are reading from my book, Zechariah 14:12, Humanity's Last Stand, and we are currently on chapter 23, which makes it night 23 that we're doing here. So that's kind of weird how we caught up to, we got the chapters in the night to match. I don't know how that happened, but I guess it's just magic. So last week, our survivors have been reunited. Len and his new friend Hank went out and rescued his wife Chris, and Brent and Kyla, who were tipped over in an ambulance, and they were being attacked by a horde of zombies. And so they all made it out okay, except Len got bit by a dog, and the dogs were chewing on the infected people and the affected horde. So who's to say if that is going to infect Len? So we'll find out in chapter 24 when that shows up there. So I have this chapter. We are going to visit with the president, who has been flying around this whole entire time in Air Force One, away from all the shitstorm that's happening on the planet. And his Air Force One is running dangerously low on fuel, so he's having to land amongst all the chaos. So we'll be checking in with him. So since we are talking about the president, I did some research as far as which was it. I went to this community called Quora, and they ask certain questions of their subscribers, and I thought I would share some answers with you. The question that was put out there was, which 4 American presidents would you want with you during a zombie apocalypse? And one of the writers, Alex Jackson, said President George Washington, President Thomas Jefferson, President Theodore Roosevelt, and he only had 3, not 4. The reason he picked George and Teddy is because they have military experience and are also capable of building and running a nation, while Jefferson is purely a statesman and would be perfect for negotiating terms with other zombie apocalypse fighters, as well as being instrumental in writing the laws for whatever new nation was being formed when everything was over. And all 3 men would act as an example as to what true manliness is. Not bravado and machismo, but true courage. I would have to agree with some of those. Jefferson was just kind of a douchebag, so I don't know if I would want him with us. But yeah. Anyways, those are the 3 that he picked. Another user, Kevin Baker, said Teddy Roosevelt is easy. He's got military experience with direct combat and at least a decent outdoorsman. George Washington, because he's remarkably level headed and has extensive military experience. Also knows something of agriculture and would be important long term. Andrew Jackson, again, military, outdoors, and agriculture experience. The downside is he's kind of evil. I would have to agree with that. And the fourth one he picked was Jimmy Carter. Said he's probably the most engineering knowledge of any president. He's also a farmer and familiar with relatively modern farming techniques as well as being a skilled diplomat. So let's see. Sol Kingston wrote, naturally, I want Abraham Lincoln because he is extremely strong. He also may have been a vampire hunter at one point. No, seriously, he was really strong. And he could beat anyone at wrestling. I would also want George Washington because despite being a natural leader, he knows restraint. He could have made himself king and didn't. Here's a guy you can get along with during hard times. I want Theodore Roosevelt because he knows how to ride, hunt, and shoot, and in general is a badass. He also knows how to get along in a wilderness area. And I want Thomas Jefferson because he was a great writer, understood the great political philosophers and history of Greece and Rome, and you need a guy like him when rebuilding a civilization. So those are the answers that people on Quora had put down. I created a poll for you, which is on the page here, and asking. I gave 4 examples of presidents on there, 3 of which were mentioned here on this survey, and the fourth one is Donald Trump. So I would like to see what your guys' answers are. So if you get a chance, please answer that, or you can just leave your comment here on which president you think would be the best in handling a zombie apocalypse. So Kevin Walser definitely agrees with Teddy. Yeah, I kind of do too. Teddy was kind of he was a badass. Military. He was an outdoorsman. He was a hunter. He didn't put up with a lot of shit. So I would have to agree with Teddy Roosevelt on that one. So let's see. I gotta turn this down because it's annoying as hell. So, anyways, with that, you guys go ahead and either take the poll. Hey, Dwayne, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure you take advantage and you hit the poll question that I have up there about the presidents. So our president, and we can talk about this after I get done reading the chapter. He has dealt with. He was evacuated, of course, out of Washington. Jumped on Air Force One with his cabinet and a few select staff members, and they've been flying around trying to come up with a plan to conquer this pandemic they were dealing with. And now they've tried refueling the plane. The refueling plane, somebody was infected on board, and that ended up crashing. So they've been running on fumes, and now they have to land. And his solution, with the help of the military, was to drop nuclear weapons on the bigger cities to incinerate a large quantity of the infected to help out their ground forces. I don't know if they were thinking about what would happen with all the radioactive fallout. Maybe not. I think they hit the panic button a little bit. But anyways, we are going to be joining the president and his staff on Air Force One. And good evening, Chuck. Good to see you. I hope you're not too sore from helping out the Boy Scouts there, building up that camp. So, let's see. Where the heck is my book? There it is. Chapter 23. New York City was disseminated. Not even the new World Trade Center stood. Smoldering amongst the wreckage of the Empire State Building, Madison Square Garden, and even the Statue of Liberty, lay the remains of infected and the victimized. For the most part, anything with flesh and bone was vaporized within a 5-mile radius of the target. Boston's historic sites were reduced to radioactive dust. Dallas was a quiet dust parking lot. Houston was mist as the Poseidon hit the area between Galveston and the Houston shores. Houston still took damage, but a decaying remnant of infected still roamed the outskirts of the oil city. Chicago was a giant hole in the Midwest, which had flooded and was now under Lake Michigan. Los Angeles was the worst. With all the oil deposits and fault lines beneath Southern California, it was like a match to dry hay. The entire area went up, and a massive earthquake moved a portion of the coastline as close as Fontana. "Where do we go from here?" the president asked, looking at a map of his former United States. No one had said anything for a long time. "We'll mobilize our units from each coast and begin cleaning each area," Colonel Laszlo spoke up. "Do we have any ground troops left?" "Our military has merged with most of the civilian militias. We're nothing like we used to be, but I think we have a fighting chance." "Do we still have communications?" "Limited, but yes." "I want to know which safe zones are still standing. And I want as many survivors as possible airlifted out to our strongholds in Nevada or Montana." "Yes, sir." Mr. President," it was one of the crew from the cockpit. "Yes?" "We're running extremely low on fuel, sir." "So, what are you saying?" "We have approximately an hour's worth of fuel, and then we'll have to land." The thought of being down on the ground with those things made the president's skin crawl. "Do we have any bases we can land nearby?" "Sac Air Force Base is just 200 miles from our location." The president bit his lip. That is where his wife and kids were last seen. The bunker had been overrun, and all communication had been lost. "Make sure we've got a clear path and get us down there," Laszlo ordered. "We have a team of SEALs on board, sir, along with your Secret Service. They'll secure the area before we get you into that bunker." Air Force One began its descent, and with each drop in altitude his heart sank. Sioux City, Iowa passed by, and within a matter of minutes, Council Bluffs and Omaha, Nebraska. From this high up, his country looked normal, but as they descended, he could see the car wrecks, the hordes of infected, and the piles of dead Americans. "Buckle in, sir," said his assistant. "What's the point?" the president thought to himself. "There's no America anymore. There's no First Lady anymore. What's the point of any of this?" "Sir," his assistant interrupted his train of thought. He fastened his seatbelt, and as he heard the landing gear extend, street scenes like out of a horror movie whipped by his window. "Oh, Jesus," he whimpered in his head. "I don't think I can do this. Those things will tear me apart. They took over the military bases. What's a few Navy SEALs and a handful of Secret Service agents gonna do? Oh, God." The plane hit the runway at Strategic Air Command. It was rough, and the plane rumbled and creaked as the brakes engaged. "What if they're still there?" Meaning his wife and kids. What if they're still around here? And if they're changed? Oh, God, if they're changed! If they're changed, then what? I, I couldn't handle that. They'd have to shoot them, and I couldn't bear that either. He was drenched with sweat. Stray infected were bouncing off the landing gear. His mouth became a sour tang of bile. He pulled the ice bucket that was near his seat, and he vomited in it. "Are you okay, sir?" his assistant asked. He only shook his head and then let another release of stomach contents go. The bucket was full to the rim by the time they stopped. The SEAL team moved up to the front of the plane. "We need to clear the area of infected," said the leader of his group. "I need one team to find stair ramps to bring to the plane. Another team needs to get transportation for the president and his staff." The side door hissed and then popped open. The men fired their guns into a group of deadheads that were gathering by the plane and then jumped out. 2 SEALs stayed behind, firing upon any stray infected. The president peeked through his window to see the carnage outside. The team of specialized soldiers were taking out hordes of infected. One team had acquired a stair ramp and was driving it towards the plane. The horde was too large and began taking out the SEAL team on the stair ramp. "Oh my God," the president muttered to himself. The Secret Service head tapped his earpiece. "Shit," he said to himself. "Problems?" Laszlo asked. "The bunker is overrun," the agent said grimly. "Too many for them to take down and clear. We're going to have to hold our position here." What about those soldiers out there?" the president asked. He looked out and watched them trying to make it back to the plane. "Clear the area," one of the soldiers from inside the plane said as he loaded a grenade launcher. It fired with a muffled "foomp" and then shredded the crowd of hungry infected. "Let's go, let's go, let's go," he hollered down to his brothers. They dropped nylon cables down for them to climb up. There were only 6 left out of 14 soldiers. The last one up the rope was grabbed by a refill of deadheads. His fellow soldiers grabbed his upper body, trying to pull him up, but they started chewing on him from below, his screams deadened by the tearing and ripping of clothes and flesh. "Stand back!" a soldier yelled, drawing his pistol. A loud crack, and his fallen comrade was dead and fed to the eating mass below. They immediately shut the side door and checked one another for bite marks. One of their numbers had a scratch on his face, but he was trying to conceal a bite mark he had gotten on his waist while climbing. "Lift your shirt, Duffy," the sergeant ordered. I'm okay," the soldier said. "Really, it didn't get me through my flak vest." Without further conversation, the sergeant drew his pistol and shot the wounded soldier in the head. "Jesus, man!" cried another soldier. Half his face was painted red with Duffy's blood. He didn't even break the skin." "Is that the risk you want to take?" the sergeant asked coldly. "We have the president on board, jackass. I'm not risking his life, yours, or anyone else's on a maybe. Now get rid of his body in case he decides to come back." They threw his body off the plane to the deadheads. "Our only choice is to get you airlifted out of here, sir," the sergeant said to the president. "I'll see what we have available to get you here, to get out here to pick you up." What about you guys?" the president asked. "We'll hold out here, sir. We have enough food to last us a while, and we also have radio." They called in a helicopter to evacuate the president and his staff. He sat down in a seat and looked out the window. From the south, he recognized 2 figures shambling down the tarmac. It was the First Lady and his younger daughter. As they approached closer, he could see the decay on his daughter's face. Black blood hung in thick, rubbery ropes from her chin. "Oh, dear God," he gasped. "Oh, God, no." What is it, sir? His assistant asked. Without answer, he looked out the window. The president was looking out. He saw them right away. They were walking with infected military personnel. They stared at the plane with hungry, insect-like eyes. Laszlo went over to the window without asking. He uttered something in his throat and then pulled the shade down on the president's window. "Don't torture yourself, sir," Laszlo said with a hand on his shoulder. The president stood up and walked down the aisle to his group of Secret Service men. He pulled a gun from one of the agent's holsters and ran towards the back of the plane. "Sir!" one of them cried out. They all ran to the back of the plane, and he was standing there with tears in his eyes. He was almost at a heavy sob. The 1911 was lodged in the soft flesh under his chin. "I'm sorry," he said to his staff. I don't think I can do this any longer." "Sir," Laszlo said steadily, "just put the gun down. We'll get this all worked out." Why get anything worked out? You've seen it out there, Laszlo. We're fucked. I can't lead. I can't lead anymore. This isn't what I came on board for. There isn't a country to even lead anymore. Sir, give me the gun. You're all relieved of duty." And with that, he pulled the trigger, and pieces of his skull and brain painted the top of the plane. And that, my friends, is the end of chapter 23. So now we have no president at all. So, yeah, I don't know how that would work out in a, for real, like who it would go to, because I believe the vice president is also changed as well. So it would just go down. Maybe Colonel Laszlo will be the new head. Who knows? Or we may go to a tribal system. Who really knows? We've seen how our government handled the COVID-19 pandemic, so I don't hold out much hope on a zombie apocalypse. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So anyhow, that is what we got going on for now. We'll be doing this again next week, chapter 24, and we will be checking in with our survivors. We are coming up on the end of the book, and so things are really going to pick up. We're going to lose some people, some more people, and yeah. So I hope you guys stick with me for the rest of the book at least, and then we will be reading the sequel that I wrote to this book. It's a short story called "The Diary of Catherine Emerson." So that's kind of a spoiler. So you at least know that she lives through this book. Yeah. So anyhow, if you guys haven't read the post I put about what I've been doing with writing, I've been working feverishly sometimes on getting some short horror stories written. I've got 4 of them. Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about them. Usually when I sit down to write one, I usually finish it before I get back up again. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for these new stories to come out and be read by you guys. And so I believe that book will probably end up getting published before I finish this Ballad of Broken Bird. Yeah, Ballad of Broken Bird, I want to be perfect. So it's a pretty serious book, and I want you guys to enjoy it and ride on the same journey that Broken Bird does. Some of you guys are bikers out there. Broken Bird is also a biker, so yeah, you guys will be able to ride the road with him. Anyhow, so hopefully by the end of this week, we'll be able to, or the end of this year, I will have the book completed and ready to publish next year, is my plan. So, but in the meantime, we do have a horror anthology coming, which will probably come before all the other books that are in my brain dying to get out. So, that being said, make sure to tune in for Coffee with Friends on Sunday. Again, no time because I just wake up when I wake up on Sunday morning. So, anyhow, we got that. Haven't got a tunes for Tuesday artist yet. If you haven't checked it out, I did Pink Floyd last night. Was something. Pink Floyd was something different. I didn't know if I could do it. I did it to the best of my ability. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Huffy. Let's see what else we got going on. Yeah, I think that's about it. Tomorrow night, getting together with the boys to get a couple set lists done, so we can get out there and start doing some more live performances. And I don't think we've come up with a name for our group yet. So any suggestions from you guys would be great. Send them to me on a private message or whatever, and yeah, I'll feed it back to the guys and see what they think. Anyhow, I'm out of here, and it was good to see you all show up here. So thank you guys for coming. And tell your friends and family to come out and check out these podcasts of mine. I try to make them interesting, try to get you guys involved with me, and try to make it somewhat entertaining. It sucks because I usually get off work and I'm just out of gas. So I try my best. Yeah. So anyhow, good to see you guys. It was groovy to see you too, Kev. Hey, Shannon, congratulations on the retirement, buddy. I'm really good. We got to get together and have a beer or a coffee or something sometime. So I miss you. It'd be good to see you again. And of course, you, Kevin. So hopefully I'll be seeing you here in the next couple of months, I think is what we talked about. So anyhow, Dwayne, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, buddy. And Steph and everybody else that has come tonight. Chuck, good to see you always. Every week. It's always great to see you. I look forward to seeing you guys on here. So, all right. Y'all take care and peace out. Love yous. That was my douchebag online personality. Peace out. What's up? All right. Sorry, I won't do that again. Have a good night.